The Blossoming Bonds Tempest Trials is here to accompany our Valentine's banner. Today we'll be going over all the fun rewards. If you score the maximum 50,000 points, you can earn up to 42 orbs, 11,000 feathers, and 80 secret coins. This month we have Ephemeral 2 Divine Codes and a Light Blessing for Mythic Lumera. Sacred Seals are going to be Attack and Speed Ideal and Dragon's Wrath. The reward unit is Valentines Vigarde, who we will talk about more later on. Our first Sacred Seal is Attack and Speed Ideal 3. At start of combat, if unit is full health or has an active bonus, grant plus 5 attack and speed in combat. The tier 3 Ideal skills do not give extra stats if you meet both conditions. I believe this is our last Ideal Sacred Seal for that skill line. Generally, I would say these are pretty good since they do not have positioning requirements. However, once you take damage, they will deactivate unless you have field buffs or status effects on your unit. For consistency, try to have some kind of status at hand at all times. For example, Alir gives themselves charge, so they're good to go. Not a bad one to upgrade, especially if you want more attack and speed boosting options. Next, we have a surprise with Dragon's Wrath 3. I guess the Year of the Dragon is bringing more toys to play with. Dragon's Wrath 3 states if foe initiates combat, reduce damage from the first attack by 20%, and if your dragon has higher attack than the foe's res, their first hit deals extra true damage equal to 20% of that attack minus res difference. Dragon's Wrath, I think, is our first % DR Sacred Seal since the Deflex seals. This one is dragon only and enemy phase only, but interesting option, especially for the many tanky dragons out there. For the new Myrrh, this can give extra damage for her hard hitting counter. The damage part of this skill is the same as Muspo's C skill. You can stack his domain, the Dragon's Wrath B skill, and now the Sacred Seal if you really want. If you got coins or just love dragon units, then definitely a fun seal to upgrade. Last, I want to mention the new Squad Assault Sacred Seal that's in this update. From the 79th Squad Assault, you can get Squad Ace CA. At tier 3, this seal grants a flat +3 attack, defense, and res, another option for those no speed units, although I would continue to recommend these Squad Ace seals that boost HP. Simple stat booster, upgrade if you want.
I am Emperor Vigarde of Grado. I received an invitation to this festival. When I am gone, it will fall to Leon to protect the people of Grado. I pray that you do, my son.
Our first heroic Grail unit for year 8 is Valentines Vigarde. I think it's nice to get a, I assume, normal Vigarde similar to Leon on the banner, but it hasn't even been a year since the regular Vigarde was released as a Grand Hero battle unit. As someone who would like some more varied alts besides just repeats of all the Secret Stones Furrows, I'm a little annoyed the newest and most recent Grail unit from my favorite game is literally the same dude. Could have swapped Vigarde with Selena on the banner, or if they wanted an army unit, Twins' father Fado is also a general. If they just had to repeat a Grail unit, they could have picked the guy who betrayed his entire country for his dead wife. That guy is hardcore devoted. Many would say too devoted. Enough ranting, let's get on with it. For his second iteration, Vigarde is an Axe Armor with 51 HP, 45 attack, 26 speed, 47 defense, and 31 res. He has 3 super boons for HP, speed, and res. While not super min-max like the banner armor units, this Vigarde is slightly better off than the usual free-to-play armor who ends up with like low 30 base speed. There are only 5 other free-to-play axe armors, so Vigarde is kind of a rare class. His stats aren't anything super unique, and one of those free-to-play units has an incredibly unique weapon with just another who got a fancy new refine. Valentine's Vigarde will at least make things interesting when it comes to weapon selection. The Axe of Devotion Plus is essentially the same as Selena's Inheritable Tome from the banner. 14 might, at start of combat, if unit has 125% HP, deal instant damage to the foe equal to X% of foe's attack at start of or as combat begins. If unit has weapon triangle advantage or higher defense than the enemy, then X is 30%, otherwise X is 15%. In addition, this weapon grants +5 attack and defense, and bonus attack and defense equal to 15% of the user's defense stat at start of combat. Axe of Devotion and Selena's Devoted Basket are fascinating inheritable weapons. Maybe scary is a more appropriate word because inheritable instant pre-combat damage is a bit insane. Like his son, Vigarde will get the higher attack scaling when facing blue foes, otherwise you need to win a defense check. He gets a bunch of defense from this weapon. At his base 47 flat defense, Vigarde will gain another +7 attack and defense for +12 total. You can add even more from the stat refine. Axe of Devotion will have the condition that unit must be able to attack for the instant damage to apply. This means Fire Sweep and ranged attackers will not trigger the damage unless you bring good old distant counter. From a general viewpoint, there are a lot more sturdy armor units who can run DC over, say, red mages who can run close counter. If this weapon is popular, unless you have a sweep effect, your attacker may just lose 15, 20 plus HP just for fighting Axe of Devotion holders. Definitely not concerning or anything. Now, since Vigarde is an arm unit, he most likely isn't running the most synergistic build for this weapon. For Cavaliers and Flyers, the Flared A skill plus Poison Strike 4 B skills are a menace with this weapon. You can easily deal 30 plus damage on initiations, and the enemy cannot stop it. While we have 2 Arcane Axes now, I can easily see Axe of Devotion being a common choice for those classes. Vigarde is 100% worth having just for this weapon. While we have 5 skill slots for inheriting now, Vigarde doesn't possess any other skills super noteworthy. Ignis and Attack and Defense Form are just obligations at this point, and even Follow-Up 3, while fun, is just a basic follow-up skill. Very risky to depend on when no follow-up exists, but it can give Vigarde a player phase double potentially. Overall, it's an okay base kit. More defense for Axe of Devotion is generally what you want. If you want to merge up Vigarde for a second time, he will get plus 1 HP, attack, and res for the neutral nature. For super boons, bonus HP, not looking too bad all things considered. Otherwise, you can try to buff up res or go for the unusual speed builds. For some free-to-play comparisons, Vigarde is our 6th Axe Armor. Sheena is still our only D-mode option. In terms of recency, Vigarde has immense competition from Murdoch, who basically got all the fixings from the devs. He is the most min-maxed for low speed, and Wyvern Hatchet is a distant counter weapon with a built-in follow-up and some decent attack debuffs. That is pretty much impossible to top for a reward unit weapon. But Axe of Devotion employs the newest form of power creep with the instant damage. It does also come with a decent amount of bonus stats, so I do think it deserves some respect. With Dragon Flowers, Vigarde does pretty well for himself. If you wanted to run a speed build, Ludwig has the high speed potential, although it's nothing insane. For res enthusiasts, Sheena still has the highest stat even without their splendid outfit. Murdoch is the more modern pick though, and he has 10 more attack to work with. Besides Murdoch, Flame Emperor recently got their refined with a new weapon. Flame Battle Axe is not too bad. It has a free follow-up and a lot of attack debuffs, plus the rare sabotage support coming from an army unit. Axe of Devotion only grants bonus defense, so if you wanted another all-around tank, Flame Emperor is a bit like Murdoch minus the whole distant counter thing. All in all, Valentines Vigarde isn't crushing the competition in terms of stats, but he does decent in everything but res. For general playstyle, Vigarde wants to stack defense so he can get the higher 30% attack scaling from Axe of Devotion against all enemy types. This weapon itself already grants more than 10 attack and defense easily, and you can add another 4 via the stat refine. Axe of Devotion's main trait is that instant pre-combat damage that is unreducible and unavoidable. Vigarde only needs to be able to attack to hurt enemies, which is why distant counter is a funny option. Unless the foe has fire sweep, Vigarde will get guaranteed damage against any attacker, which is the interesting and annoying part of these weapons. Even if he gets completely nuked and one-shot, it's possible he deals 20 damage in return. Now, for builds, Attack and Defense Form is fine, but you can also use Ideal, Bond, or Close Defense skills. Same for the Sacred Seal slot. Even Follow-Up gives Omni Breaker, but only for even numbered turns. That's fine, but it's tougher to make player phase moves with one movement. Would be nice if Armor March was free-to-play accessible at this point in that C slot. Now, if you're okay without Follow-Up Denial and you want follow-ups every enemy phase, then Quick Riposte is the old standard. Conversely, you could do Worry Fighter 3 and just try to use Axe of Devotion's unavoidable damage to stall and win by attrition. Either way, Special Fighter can be in the B or Sacred Seal slots. This can actually help proc Ignis, or you can go for Glimmer, Moonbow, or Noontime. It also gives Guard as another defensive tool. For some other skills, Defense Field Buffs would be nice just to help win the defense check. You can swap to res boosting skills if you want. If you have an open Sacred Seal, the Squad A seals can add plus 5 HP. With the stat refined, Vigarde can have 60 plus HP without any merges. Now, if you want even more HP, Vigarde could borrow Valentine's Ephraim's whole kit if you're open to premium skills. Earthfire Boost 3 could be used instead of a tier 3 dual stance, and you're gonna get plus 5 HP. Ephraim has Tech and Defense near save, and then Armored Blaze for the Bonfire type damage with unpierceable damage reduction for specials. Unless you engage with Emblem Marth, you can't get the Slaying Armored Blaze, but that's okay. With Weaving Fighter, the goal would be to just stall and try to survive while letting Axe of Devotion cause chaos through its instant unavoidable damage. Weaving Fighter has a lot of DR that works versus Brave hits, and it has Sustain with Fallout Denial. Hardy Fighter is another stalling option, and you can get the 2 cooldown Pavis with Emblem Marth, but it is open to Brave attacks, and Vigarde won't have a follow-up attack and extra cooldown at the same time. You can get one via the Sacred Seal slot with something like Special Fighter or Quick Riposte, but without both, you kinda do risk recharging issues. For Hardy Fighter builds, I will mention Arcane Thrima with its Slang plus Tempo, and then Emblem Marth for a 1 cooldown Pavis. Before we fully move on to other weapon talk, Axe of Devotion has some other good skills in Defense Unity for debuffs, maybe Miracle plus Gambit for another stalling option, and of course you can run all the Fighter Quick Riposte variants. We're sure to get more tier 4 options at some point. While the squad ace seals are fun for HP stacking, Special Fighter in that seal slot is great for cooldown and guard, and you could use the tier 4 with something like Noontime. Now, if you want to get real silly, you could still join the Flared Strike build hype train, at least partially. No Flared A skill, but you can, and I emphasize can, not should, run Assassin Strike, pair with Bold Fighter Sacred Seal for potential doubles plus cooldown, and then Assault Troop to get in there, as they say. Alright, for other inheritable weapons, if you want a free follow-up attack, then Somerset's Seer's Axe is still the only option for both phases. Fuga's Wind Tribe Club has player phase follow-ups. Arcane Downfall and Threema both have Slaying. Downfall has follow-up denial, breath type cooldown, and healing on hit. Threema has tempo and no follow-up if you outspeed. Generally, not something Vigard will be able to use often, but it's one of the use of his not fully dumb speed. I have a regular Vigard on my friends list with a full speed build, so shout out to that guy if he wants to do it a second time. Besides no fall, Threema also has Attack and Demon's Debos, which always hits the closest foe and has a built-in sabotage status. Support from army units is kinda weird, but not an unwelcome sight. You can pair the tempo effects with Special Fighter or something like Vengeful Fighter 4 for a general follow-up build. You can also use Threema's No Guard if you wanted a Special Sparrow 4 setup. Armors do not get No Quarter, so that's your one DR piercing option. In the end, I generally think Axe of Devotion could be seriously used. It may not be outright killing people, but the instant damage cannot be ignored, and you do get a good amount of bonus defense. Overall, a more surprising Tempest Trials than you'd normally expect. Attack and Speed Ideal is a fine generally stat booster, and Dragon's Wrath can find usage for those enemy phase builds. Valentines Vigarde is not going to set the world on fire any more than some of the other free-to-play armors, but he is the newest and only Gen 8 Axe Armor option. He doesn't have a sweet unique weapon like Murdoch, but Axe of Devotion is very much a viable weapon. Vigarde can run a variety of armor fighter type builds with this weapon, and a stalling type tank setup will do best with the armor's high stat total. For cows and flyers, Axe of Devotion will synergize with that Flared Strike build people are already running. Inheritable instant pre-combat damage is definitely worth a look. That's going to be it for this month's Tempest Trials. I am going to take all the orbs we get and shove them into that Valentine's banner. Personally, I don't have much attachment to Vigarde since it's hard to interact with him in Sacred Stones, but like Leon, it's nice to see a normal version of the guy. I didn't build his OG Lance version, and I am admittedly not that interested in building this version. However, I would build this one first over the Lance one. Maybe one day we can get a full Sacred Stones dad team. That's all I got for this video. Go get those rewards, and thank you for watching. Next up, we can talk about next month's ephemera, but I may also first go over the recently announced A Hero Rises voting gauntlet participants. See you in the next video.